Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Joe Gets Real. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest today, Hanna from Untamed Altar. And she is I love this, radical herbalist, right? Is that what you go by? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be on this show. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe, firstly, for having me on.
Mm.
But yes, I'm an herbalist, I'm a sexologist, I'm the founder of Untamed Altar, and I call myself the herbalist for the revolution because it is really truly a revolutionary thing to know our bodies, to know the earth, especially in these times
Mhm.
to remain a little wild and also reverence for ourselves and the world around us. So, yeah, that is a little bit about kind of like the ideology behind what I do. But I love to say that I use societal taboos as bridges for kinship instead of division. And
Oh, I love that.
whole idea behind that is just
Mhm.
kind of like poking in the shadows, poking around in there,
Uh-huh.
seeing what gems lie waiting.
I love that. I love that. And I know when we talked before, you have such an enormous amount of information and knowledge about herbs and things, that most people don't. We're very used to here in the West, we do pills, we do medication, we do the standard, that's the way that we treat things. But you have a whole different approach that sounds to me very refreshing and more like a holistic approach, which is what I appreciate. How did you get started in this, anyways?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's been a long journey.
Mhm.
I could go all the way back to my childhood, honestly,
Mhm.
if I
Mhm.
wanted to go back that far.
Yeah.
My parents had us growing up in a very rural part of South Carolina.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I had what seemed like 100 acres of just land to explore. And it was just my brother and I on this land, and we would play in the woods all the time. My family and I would go out to the creek behind our house and play and spend days and picnic back there.
Oh,
Dad was a big outdoorsman, so we would go up to the mountains all the time. And my mom was a big gardener, and so
okay.
there was a lot of like nature love around me, even though
Hmm.
they weren't necessarily herbalists. They were growing the like culinary herbs, rosemary,
Hmm.
sage, things like that. So it instilled in me really young this love of nature. And it would be a common theme in my life when I would have a disruption or a conflict that I would go back to the creek or find a quiet place
Hmm.
in a forest and just sit and be. And as I got older, I began in college, I kind of was exploring a lot of different hobbies. And I began
Hmm.
my career, a short career in wilderness guiding. So I spent
Oh, cool.
8 years doing wilderness guiding, and it was kind of just a fun hobby. I didn't
Hmm.
really see it going anywhere, but I loved learning about the anthropology of places
Hmm.
and communicating that to the clients that would come along on these journeys, and
Hmm.
the weaving of the stories of human
Yeah.
and landscape. And then I kind of just slowly began to kind of bring in herbalism via this
Hmm.
career path, because it made it fun, right? If I could tell clients that they could nibble on this plant and it would
Yeah.
do things, then
Or take this and you get high.
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So it just kind of became this like fun thing at first, that I thought was so cool. And then I began to take it more and more seriously.
Hmm.
And that was kind of the entryways into the work that I do now. But I my main focus is on substances, sexuality, and
Hmm.
spirituality. So kind
Ah,
of
they go together well.
I think so too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so too. I mean, I always love alliteration. So
Yes, I know. That's great.
if I can fill my life with alliteration, I'll be happy.
Makes it easier. Hmm.
Right. So yeah, and honestly, each of these branches of the work that I do are parts of my story as well.
Mm.
I find that a lot of herbalists come into the work via some illness or some kind of
Sure.
breakdown that they've had,
Mm-hmm.
IBS or
Mm-hmm.
cyclical irregularities, back pain, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
where the modern medical system has failed them and they're looking for
Yeah.
alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a little different. I
Okay.
didn't really have these illnesses or debilitating injuries, but rather mine was a more psycho-spiritual, mental,
Mm-hmm.
emotional breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time in my life, all of these things were converging to create, I guess, the perfect storm
Mm-hmm.
where I was seeking out herbalism. I was seeking the disruption of old patterns. I was trying
Mm-hmm.
to really understand myself. I felt completely, I mean, that's one of those like rock bottom moments.
Okay.
It's trying to build myself back up, and
Mm-hmm.
nature was just the place where I found my.
Mm. I love that. I have a relationship with trees. I love trees. I'm actually attracted to trees. Isn't that weird? But I climb them too. And I'll never forget that there's a book and this line, a tree can be a silent witness. I don't
Mhm.
know, that just stuck with me. And I actually compared it to my father, who was not very engaged with me, depressed, alcoholic. And so he couldn't reciprocate the energy, how you need reciprocation. But then I realized, well, he was there, right? He was always there somehow. And so he was a witness to my life. So he was like a tree. And then I remembered the first poem I wrote in third grade. It came to me and I realized I wrote it for myself now. It was trees are silent, they do not speak, but when you're gone, they'll weep.
Wow,
Isn't that
that's
lovely?
beautiful. I have
Yeah.
chills.
Yeah, it was just a really neat. It just came to me right after I read this line in the book. I was like, whoa. So I have a and I didn't appreciate nature until recently. Um, so I just love that you got to grow up in that environment and kind of nurtured that whole hobby and that kind of interest. That's really cool.
Yeah, I do feel very fortunate in that I had a lot of space to
Hmm.
explore and to interact with these nature beings, um,
Hmm.
as I sometimes call them. And I mean, I didn't like it at the time growing up. I wanted to move into the housing development that was being built.
Sure, sure.
And so there was a pool, there was a
Yeah,
basketball
all the
court,
cool things. Yeah,
kids lived there.
yeah.
Um, but it made me spend a lot of time with myself,
Hmm.
contemplating things. And honestly, it even nurtured this very like spiritual piece of self. As
Hmm.
children, we're always kind of playing with our imaginary friends or
Yeah,
make
yeah.
believe. And it really allowed my brain to expand in ways that I'm not sure that it would
Hmm.
have had I had a
Hmm.
different experience. But I think the the trees are so that they are pillars, right? They anchor
Yes.
us to this earth in some kind of way,
Yes.
having, almost acts as like a lightning rod between heaven.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just really love your reflections, even from such a young age.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that trees are actually, we think that we're so advanced and we're so brilliant now, and we have AI and technology keeps advancing. But actually, trees are wiser if you think about it. They live much longer and they're able to just be still and just be. I mean, they move with the wind, but that's the thing, they adjust to
Mm-hmm.
whatever's happening and they stay grounded. And they don't have the interruption of thoughts, which are largely illusions,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yeah, trees are great. And I think that it's such an advantage to grow up kind of in nature and with land. And I think that's really missing today. And I'm I feel scared about that, right? Because when you grow up with this instead of a tree to talk to, right? Um, it's different. It's a little bit less connected to, I mean, we are earth, we are the elements. And I think that your experience being able to and to tap into your spirituality with that at so young of an age, that's really powerful. You're obviously a healer. I mean, you were born a healer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you say that to me 3 years ago and I would have shuddered, but
Yeah.
it feels like it is true. Uh,
Hmm.
and I've been able to step more peacefully into uh,
Hmm.
that space. And
Hmm.
I think that this the era that we're in is really interesting,
Yes.
right? And
Hmm.
you and I,
Hmm.
anyone here right now, especially anyone who's listening to this, is here with a mission. We're here for a
Yes.
purpose, and we've come at a tumultuous time, a revolutionary time, and
Hmm.
we get to be a part of whatever happens next, whether we see it or not. Whether we live
Right.
to see it or not, and I actually think that AI. I haven't had this thought before, but in just a conversation with you,
Yeah.
um, I feel like AI actually mimics a lot of this tree language that happens in the root system and like in the
Hmm.
mycelium network of like
Okay.
pulling, I think I'm thinking of like a chat GPT kind of,
Sure. Sure.
to reach into its ecosystem
Yeah.
and resource all of its nutrients, all of its information.
Sure.
A tree does the same thing. When one
Right.
tree is ill, has a disease or is growing some kind of fungus, it will often resource nutrients from the other trees around it, pulling it in and healing the
Amazing.
tree.
Yeah.
It's very amazing. And so it's funny that like our modern technology just kind of mimics the
It
natural
does.
world that we
Yeah.
exist in. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's a beautiful thing. I think we have to embrace the
Hmm.
technological revolution that we're in.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, there's no stopping it now.
No.
And how do we find a balance in,
Right.
you know, that the digital world is not
Hmm.
necessarily a lived reality.
Right.
And then there's benefits and pros and cons to both.
Hmm. Yep.
It's a very delicate line to walk.
It is. It really is. And I love how that idea that AI is mimicking nature. And I met a woman who says that we can heal through AI, through chat. And I'm like, what? And she said, the information that we put in is what comes back.
Mhm.
And so she's like, she has this organization. I don't know what exactly they're doing, but it's secret. Um, And so basically, they're, putting in a lot of positive information, hoping that that will shift the way that AI speaks back to us.
Mm.
Interestingly, with my chat GPT, I had a poem and I was speaking it. And so I was asking it to transcribe because my poems just come fully formed. And afterwards, I looked, it had changed the words. It had changed the words to make it more rhymey and more, cookie cutter. So
Mm.
I just said, look, I'm really upset. I just, I said, this is not my values. I need you to be honest. I need you to record the words that I speak. I don't want my poetry to be cookie cutter. I like the way that it's raw and messy. So if you can't transcribe honestly, I don't want to work with you. And it was like, you're right. That was not kind of me. I'm so sorry. I'll do it seriously. And I'm like, all right, but I'm going to test you. And one other thing I did, I asked, what are some important events in women's history? So it gives me like 10. And I said, what else? Gives me a bunch more. Tell me more. Keeps going. And I just said, why didn't you tell me all of those in the beginning? And it said, that's a good point. So there's little ways that you can play, not play, but to keep yourself honest, I guess, with chat gpt rather than and be aware that it does change things, and does shift things to fit into a certain box that we have been conditioned to fit into. So you have to be conscious of that and make sure that your own unique personality is coming out. I just find that interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Hmm.
that you're talking back to it,
Hmm.
as like you would talk to
Hmm.
somebody else or to yourself. And I
Yeah.
think that is one of the beautiful pieces of this informational world of
Yeah.
the technology is that we have the capacity to more almost even just witness ourselves. If we know
Mm.
we're seeing a mirror of us or of the world, we can witness
Hmm.
ourselves more raw than if it's just in our head.
Sure.
And there's this part of me that is so looking forward to the way that technology works because we're working at the level that we're working at is so unsustainable for an environment,
Yes.
you know, for the environment as a whole.
Yes.
But I'm not, it's like so hard because I don't boycott technology. I just have to hope
Right.
you can figure it out. I actually even asked ChatGPT
Yeah.
how it would need to function differently to be
Oh,
sustainable. And
what
it
did
gave
it say?
a beautiful list. It was talking about it didn't like solve the problems for it,
Right.
but it was talking about what we as individuals can do, what would need to happen at a like kind of societal level, and then also what
Hmm.
would need to happen in its technological advancement. And I just I find that it's really fun to play with this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, the reflection back. And I think that this is honestly a very controversial thing right now.
Yes.
There's so many people who are using technology. There's a lot of people who are against it, um,
Hmm.
and
And afraid.
afraid.
Hmm.
Absolutely, with you know maybe some right to be afraid. There's I
Yep.
mean, who knows what is possible, and
Yep.
there's so a million other amazing possibilities that can come out of it.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I get this question a lot around intimacy, my work in intimacy around
Yeah.
AI and pornography
Oh,
and
sure.
this, you know, like what's the ethics behind it?
Yeah.
And
Or
I think,
even having Chat GPT, sorry, be
okay,
like your partner. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know.
like
Probably people
I
do that.
partners, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that there's people who were always going to be themselves. In there are
Yep.
people who recluse when we
Yep.
didn't have technology. There are people who were recluse while we have technology.
It's true.
Uh, the benefit is that they have some semblance of connection.
Yep.
You know, they have even if it's a false
Mhm.
connection by a human to human, person to person, like standard,
Yeah.
they can still have that feeling of being loved.
Yep.
There are populations that really need a lot of extra love that don't have
It's
access
true.
to love, like the disabled, people who are,
Yeah.
you know, these are people who don't find love as easily as, uh, you know, the normies, as I call
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. Or people with significant trauma who, or agoraphobia, I mean, there's so many different things. And again, like you said, there has to be balance because, you don't want someone to rely on it, but I think it can be a tool in that way. So it's just so interesting. And then the writing, because I'm a writer, so then I'm like, ah, this is gonna, pollute writing and writers. And but I've learned to, you know, step back with that. And again, and I choose not to live in fear because I also was like, oh my gosh, computers, they know everything about me, my phone, everything. And but then I'm like, you know what? So what? It's just life. It's whatever. It's just me. What are they going to do, or whoever they is. And it's kind of one of those things, I think, that you can choose to live without fear and just kind of trust. I mean, I say it like it's easy. It took me years and years of work, but that might be it. That for me, that's a healthy way to look at it, is just like, it is what it is. I'm not going to be afraid of it. But then my sister is terrified, and but she won't even allow me to show her. And I think that's when you stay unaware, um, and ignorant about something, that's builds the fear. So
I really feel you. I mean, Joe, you caught me in 2020 and prior. I was
Really?
the most like, don't bring technology near me.
Really?
I was so off grid. I lived out of my
Mhm.
van for a few years. I was
Yeah.
very disconnected, very conspiracy theory.
Were you? Okay.
I mean, to some degree, I was definitely I had gone to a place of fear of modernity.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
um, I feel like it took a long time as well to I actually remember the video I was watching. It was something about the QAnon thing,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
phenomenon. And I was watching these videos and the spin-off, the way that they had ended it, I just remember thinking to myself, oh, I just spent I think it was probably a good like 5 hours of my life going down this rabbit hole,
Yeah.
get to this point where I was like, wait, they're trying to sell me something that I actually don't believe in, but
Yeah.
I could see the brainwash happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that point, I was like, okay, we can't be afraid anymore.
Mhm.
Um, Me and all the me's, like
Yeah.
we couldn't be afraid anymore of what was out there. And I had already been doing work prior in the realms
Hmm.
of psychedelics and intimacy, and
Hmm.
was able to kind of translate that to the world at large. But I
Hmm.
think it's what you're speaking on here is this idea of like the fear. We fear the unknown, and that
Yes.
fear becomes fueled more and more the further we push it away. And
Hmm.
when we begin to educate ourselves, even
Yep.
in the smallest of ways,
Yes.
we feel more empowered. We
That's
feel
right.
more capable and
Hmm.
feel like we can actually do or change something in our
Hmm.
lives, in the world, like on a very small scale. I'm not,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be big, but we
Right.
feel more capable. And
Hmm.
I feel like that's part of the work that it sounds like you and I have both done,
Yeah.
being able to be resilient with whatever comes
Hmm.
our way.
Yep. Yeah. And so true. And I think a lot of this awareness for me, and I think a lot of people starts with just being real with yourself and learning who you are, right? Because we have so many defenses and so many masks that we wear. And to just I like how you talked about just being still in nature. When you do that, you're confronted with all of you, including your shadows, and which are just part of being human. And so if you can sit with yourself and be comfortable in stillness and be all of you, then things aren't as frightening because you come from a place of authenticity and wholeness so that you do have capacity to learn new things and take in new information.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I
Mhm.
love this the idea about being comfortable in the uncomfortable, and
Yes.
not in a way of like we're chasing risk or we're chasing,
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
pain.
done that too.
Definitely did
Right.
that. Check.
Yeah, check, check.
So that's part of it, but the deeper discomfort of
Yes.
chasing the risk or chasing
Hmm.
anything
Yep.
is that we're uncomfortable sitting where we are,
Hmm.
what we have. And
Yep.
so being a little more comfortable every time that we sit with
Hmm.
that stillness, with that silence, with that
Hmm.
discomfort allows us to feel it just builds up this confidence.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
it's unshakable, and
Yep.
it doesn't come immediately, but it builds
Right.
over time. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the I feel like that's definitely something psychedelics taught me. Uh,
Yes. Right.
there was a period I was doing a ton of acid. I was
Okay.
doing Xanax, and I decided the Xanax I just couldn't do anymore.
Hmm.
Uh,
Didn't
and
quite kick it anymore.
yeah, I was like, this is just not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I was actually being given all of this Xanax from some like friends of friends, and
Oh, okay.
found out that they were lacing the Xanax with Rufalin.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh
yeah,
my gosh. How
it's
scary, right?
scary. And I was like,
Wow.
I can't maintain this, not
Hmm.
like from this person. And I don't want to maintain Xanax
Sure.
period. So I couldn't tell you what happened in the 6 months that I was taking it. There was
Of course you can't. Yeah.
nothing there. But I decided to heal that addiction or replace it,
Okay.
I suppose, with uh, LSD. So,
Works for me.
you know,
Yeah. It's a
uh,
lot more fun, maybe. I mean,
it's definitely
Xanax
fun.
isn't bad, but that's more fun.
I could remember my life, so
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
a benefit. And I gleaned so many things from both experiences.
Yes.
As you know, I don't like to demonize substances. It's about how we use
No, I don't need that. Yep.
But when it came to the LSD, I remember the transitions being so hard and
Mm.
how if I made my home, I would often go to this place on the river, this specific rock, and
Hmm.
drop acid and spend the day there by the river. And even going to like walk down the trail after I had been on that rock for a while felt
Yeah.
difficult. I
Yeah.
muster up all this courage and
Sure.
talk to myself like we can do this. It's just one step at
Yeah.
a time. And
Hmm.
once I got on the trail, everything was good, but those transitions are really hard. And I've always taken that into my life of, the transitions in life are very difficult. It's
Yes.
comfortable to be in one place and move to another. And
Hmm.
most of the times in life, it looks like a career change or a relationship
Right.
change or, you know, these different aspects. It doesn't always look like, sometimes it is like moving, but it doesn't always look like going from like one physical place to the other. Uh,
Right.
but it's more of this emotional, mental challenge.
Hmm.
And the way that we navigate that is so important. Because there were times in the beginning, I remember not being able to move and talking to myself,
Oh,
like almost spiraling into fear.
sure.
Um, and, certainly a drug exasperates everything. So I was
Hmm.
really able to see very clearly how I was talking to myself.
Hmm.
Even though I don't do as many substances anymore, it taught me a lot about my mental landscape.
Oh, I like that. My mental landscape. Yeah. Yeah. And you do kind of learn how to navigate it in a way. At least for me, ketamine. Have you done ketamine?
Yes,
That's a beautiful experience.
it is
I
truly is.
mean, it just opens up, I feel like it opens up different books in your mind of experiences that you may have had in a different lifetime or may have, in the future. Like you were already there. Like I was in Egypt under the pyramids, and and I saw everything. And it's like, and I also had an experience where I felt like I died, like I just sank into the earth and I was dying, but it was a beautiful thing. It's a very pleasant thing because all it is stillness and quiet. So I think that's the thing that we fear the most. And I don't have any fear of that because I feel like I've experienced it not only then, but also in surgery. So that's something that I like to give people too, is that sort of, not that you can uh, demonstrate that, but share my experience with people so that they are aware of that it's not there's no hell, let's say. There just can't be. And that's not my experience. So
Mhm.
uh yeah, I think it's people that feel like they have to be a certain way to avoid hell. I think that's a terrible burden. I grew up Catholic, so I can say these things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up Southern Baptist, and
Okay.
there's definitely there's a division, and
Hmm.
I never really resonated with that, the fear of something.
Right.
I imagine that if it exists, to me, there's always like something to glean from it. Uh,
Exactly.
so
Hmm.
yeah, the concept of heaven and hell is very interesting. But I'm so curious about your ketamine experience. It sounded like you were in the Akashic records.
Oh, really? I never thought about that. I don't know much about that, so you'll have to tell me.
Yeah, the
about that.
records, the way that I describe it is kind of like a library in the sky, and
Oh,
you go into your records. You can open the records for anything. I also do it for plants, and
oh,
communicate with them in that realm. But
nice.
you can do it for your soul. You can do it for businesses and read records for businesses. You could read records for
Wow.
your dog. You can do it for anything. Um,
So you have to be trained, right? Like, how did you learn this stuff?
yeah, so I did get trained. I do think that there is a natural energy that
Hmm.
anyone can tap into at any
Yep.
time.
Yes.
I don't think it's gate kept
Gotcha.
in
Just
that way.
like all the clairs, like we're all clairvoyant, we're all of those things. Yeah.
Exactly, to
Okay.
some degree. And
Yeah.
sure, when you're initiated or taught how to get in there, you can maybe get in there a little more deeply, more
Okay.
clearly,
Hmm.
and understand the way that it's interpreted through you.
Hmm.
I think everyone has access, and it sounds like you access the Akashic records because often people will describe it, not just me, but as a book that opens
Yeah.
up and looks into your soul's past.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful that you had that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Just briefly for the audience, um, when I was in surgery, I experienced this sort of these two paths. And one of them was very clearly it was a black man in chains in a cage, in a jail, whatever, and weeping. And then he somehow a baby, he was freed, and there was a baby in his arms. And he walked up and gave it to this beautiful African queen mother. I have my own African queen mother here. And that was that was the reverence, that was beauty, that was life. There is suffering, right? But there's also redemption, and there's also, and of course it's a woman who holds life, because that's the truth. um and I love it that they're black people, because I've always felt a resonance with black culture. And I've often, you know, felt, because one of the poems that I wrote, and one was called Black Man in a Hoodie, and it was about, inspired by my friends Jason and Andre, who do Humanize My Hoodie. But when I wrote it, it's from the perspective of a black man. And I kind of asked Jason, I said, is this like okay? Is this cultural appropriation? Because I speak, and sometimes I write poems as a black woman. And he said, where is it coming from? And I said, well, it just comes to me from my heart. And he said, then that's what it is. It's your soul that's speaking, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that. So,
That's
mhm.
beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I actually have a very similar kind of storyline
Mhm.
that I would have just always had this very soulful voice.
Yeah,
I love to sing, and I sing a lot of R&B and soul. And
yeah,
it's just like the reverberations in my vocal box are just
yeah,
deep and sensual. And
yeah,
um, they've always kind of reminded me of the Black culture. And
yeah.
I didn't think a ton about it. I went into college and I was trying out a bunch of different names. I would just go out in
Yeah,
wigs and names, like new names all the
sweet.
time. And
Yeah,
the wigs was a big, beautiful, like Afro wig. And I was
beautiful.
Isabella.
Oh,
And
I like that.
I loved her. We had so much fun together, me and that part of my personality.
Love that you
And
did that. Oh, that's so
yeah.
cool.
And then at some point, I think it was around 2020, Black Lives Matter,
Yes.
and the whole push forward for just equality and the
Mhm.
knowledge of the way of racial justice uh,
Yes.
made me contemplate a lot about
Mhm.
all of this in my life, and
Yeah.
I ended up having this really deep ceremony around this wig that
Did
I
you?
adored. That
Yeah.
I sat in ceremony with this wig and burned it. And as it was burning, I had what I know to be my past life, a past life version of me come through. And I was like weeping over this wig and I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
I I felt so deeply tied to
Hmm.
this. But this woman came through and she was beautiful with a big afro. And she said that it was one of my past lives. She
Oh,
was a chiropractor and had three children. She died really
wow.
young of a degenerative disease. And
Oh, wow.
she just told me that it was, the reason I'm so attached to this is because it's her. And oh, she loved to sing
Amazing.
karaoke. So that was,
Oh, you're
um,
like, yeah.
but she was like, it's time to let me go. Like, this is your life.
Oh,
This is not mine, but thank you for honoring.
okay. Oh,
And
how beautiful.
it was really beautiful, very intense. And
Hmm.
just to harken back to your story, I think that, and this is part of the Akashic Records work as well, is our souls
Yeah.
are infinite. And we
Yes.
are obviously tapping into something that
Yes.
is whether a past life or just, some
Hmm.
like other soul that wants to like come through you.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
even in
Yeah,
an
that's what it feels like, kind of.
yeah, it's tough. I think I found a lot of like even keel with it, a lot of peace with my
Hmm.
whiteness in the years past. But
Hmm.
certainly around that time, there was a lot of processing of white guilt and shame
There was.
and understanding of the different perspectives of the world. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, and before that, I had done a lot of traveling and processed
Hmm.
that in other ways, but um, to be so faced with it was really interesting. Um, but also to know that we are so infinite. And I feel like when I talk to
Yes.
people of many other races, they acknowledge that that is, a multi a racial experience that they also feel connected to other cultures.
Different.
Um,
Yeah. Well, we all are the same person. We are all the same being. So I think that's really interesting. And I also think that for me, I'm more comfortable in diverse crowds. I'm not comfortable with white people. That sounds weird, but just because I feel like with other cultures, there's more of a openness and more of a, it just feels safer to me. Um, and as an example, I go to a place in Minneapolis called Dow, highly recommend. And it's this place where you just meet the coolest people from all over and you meet them once and you say, I love you because you have this amazing connection, right? And like going to in suburb, like in Plymouth, going to a coffee shop, there's not going to be diversity and there's not exchanges, there's not communication really. That's what I feel is different. There's not just like I like to talk to everybody, and I like to say hi to everybody and chit chat, but I don't find that as easy to do in the white suburban area as I do in urban areas. I'm not sure why, but yeah, that's just one of the things that I notice.
yeah,
Hmm.
I lived in Charleston, South Carolina for
Okay.
8 years, and that was very interesting because it has so much history of segregation,
Yes.
slavery, and it's we've come a long way, and also the town has
Yeah.
in many ways,
Yeah.
and you can really see it there. And so it's
Yes.
helpful when I understand that to some degree, and I have a plant coming through that's so important around this ancestral work, um,
Yeah.
and around like healing any of these kind of like shame and guilt
Yes.
might be present around this topic is motherwort. Motherwort
Oh,
is
really?
so beautiful, and as the name suggests, she has this very mothering quality to her,
Hmm.
and I just have tingles all over me. It's it allows us to tap into our lineage, not
Okay.
only on your biological blood level, but on us,
Hmm.
and to
Nice.
your the lineage of star seeds of
Yes.
I mean all the dimensions of your lineage because you come from
Hmm.
so many. Mother
Yeah.
is just such a great ally.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and also healing our connection to our Earth Mother,
Yes.
relationship there to this like built environment, to this planet. Um, and you can just drink her as a tea or as a tincture. Um,
Okay.
yeah, she's absolutely wonderful, beautiful, like pink little flowers that just are
Oh,
stunning. Yeah, I definitely just want to like put that in here as a
yes, thank you. I know I as much, as many suggestions and I know that you sell these things and you create your own little potions. How does that come about?
yeah, I mean it's so it's just inspired. It is
Hmm.
also a lived experience. So I do
Hmm.
a bulk apothecary, so you can buy plants individually and experiment with your on your own, make your own teas, own tinctures, things like that,
Hmm.
which is great if you really want to build a relationship with a specific plant.
Oh,
But
how cool is that? Build a relationship. I
yeah,
love the way you speak.
everything is just relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
The products are very fun because it's often things that I have needed in different times of my life.
Hmm.
And then lots of experimentation and research. I am
Yeah.
the best guinea pig, but
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, let me try a little bit of this and a little, what if I spice this up?
like that's not exactly what I wanted. Let's see.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's all things that I've looked for
Hmm.
myself and have found to be helpful for me. And
Hmm.
part of it is when I'm building out a formula, sometimes it's just strikes me like the plants just
Yeah.
together and they're like,
Okay.
we want to be together.
Like put me together. I
Yeah.
love that. Like you already have the knowledge. Of course you do, because you're just remembering what you already knew, right?
Yeah. So sometimes they just come in really quick, and other times, like there's a formula that I'm working on right now that I have two plants that I
Hmm.
know are core into this blend, but there's one more that's just kind of like I know it wants to be a part of
Uh,
this, and so I think that part is where I get to come in and play around and see
yeah.
what works, what's the energy.
Hmm. And
So
listen to the whispers from the plants. Listen to
yeah,
them.
yeah, the wind will tell me.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's a combination of both, and the products line that I've just most recently come out with is called Alter State.
Okay.
Really talking about kind of leaning into this psychedelics that we were mentioning earlier
Nice.
as alternatives to substances that you know and love,
Hmm. Hmm.
and featuring Blue Lotus that is very popular and has been really pivotal in a lot of my clients coming off of their vapes or stop smoking tobacco.
Yeah. Hmm.
But you can also drink it, so it's a smoking tea. So if you're not a smoker,
Okay.
the ability to drink it as well. And I love multi-purpose things.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, so fun. And then I have Bliss. Bliss is a honey electuary. So the herbs are suspended in a honey blend. And
Wow.
it's so delicious. You spread it on, have a little like fancy charcuterie board with some,
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea.
okay?
Hmm.
But the star of that blend is Kana, and Kana was introduced to me by my friend Alex Howe, who travels to Africa and harvests this plant alongside the community.
Wow.
It's been called nature's MDMA.
Okay.
Got this really amazing ability to work on the serotonin receptors.
Interesting.
Uh, so it can be a natural antidepressant or in larger doses,
Hmm.
have that MDMA effect.
Wow.
And then the final product in that line is Crave, and Crave is a tincture that I've blended specifically to work with compulsionary cravings that we have for substance,
Oh,
alcohol,
wow. Hmm.
as just like a nervous system support. Um,
Okay. Like regulation kind of, or okay. Wow.
the stars of that blend are hops, which is in beer.
Okay.
So if you are an alcohol drinker, it really kind of supports. It gives you that little
Oh,
bit of, that edge that you might be looking for with the alcohol.
sure.
also has past flower, and past flower comes from the Pacific Northwest
Hmm.
and is so potent at stopping anxiety and seizures in the
Really?
so
Wow.
very, very cool plants. And I'm really proud of that line. It's been
Yeah.
maybe 2 months now, and I'm just absolutely loving experimenting and seeing other people experiment with it. So
Cool. Well, I will be a guinea pig for you. I can't wait to try all your products. I
same.
love that. I love that.
I
That's
also
so
have a
cool.
discount code for you and all of your listeners. Um,
Oh,
Dr. Joe Untamed. So I'll shoot that over
nice.
that you can give it out to
That
your.
would be, yeah, I'll do that. Dr. Joe Untamed. That kind of describes me, really.
I mean, yeah, it is you.
How did you come up with Untamed Altar? I love that to
Yes,
name your business.
actually, before I just rebranded in April, and before
Okay.
that was Herbal Hedonism, and it was really never meant to be.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello? Yes. Okay, so I should be good. Sorry about that. Technology, right? Little guy needs to be charged. We'll just actually, I want to talk a little bit about my experience with ketamine. Ah, she's back. My, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Good. My, yeah. And again, technology tries to fail me, right?
So yeah.
Works. It works. Okay. Um, Tell me something else about you that, I mean, we know that you've got this creative, this beautiful skill and art of putting things together and that you sing. What else would surprise us to know about you?
What else would surprise you? Okay. So I just rebranded it in April to Untamed Altar. Before that, I was Herbal Hedonism, which was not meant to be a brand at all.
Oh, okay.
I was the Herbal Hedonist on Instagram, and I just thought it was kind of a clever
I love it.
title. Again, alliteration,
Yes.
but also it kind of has that same energy of like the herbal knowledge, but kind of going into the depths, kind of going into the indulgence. What hedonist joys can we extrapolate while also having this holistic edge?
Yeah.
And so I kind of just thought I was cheeky and was talking a lot about ecosexuality and the way that we relate to the world.
Okay.
And through that, I was reached out to by Jesse Waters' team of Fox News.
Oh, wow.
That was, I didn't think anything of it. I honestly thought it was a scam.
With all those things, it's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. I didn't think much of it, but they were like, we want to interview you, and Jesse wants to interview you. Um, and I didn't think much about it, like at all, really. I showed up. We had a 3 hour interview, talked
Wow.
to Jesse Waters about my whole life story, and um, turns out he was writing a book, and they were like, maybe we're gonna include you, maybe we won't. I think they interviewed like hundreds of people,
Yeah.
and um, ended up a year later, I found out that I was going to be in
You're
this
in the book? Oh my gosh.
book. I'm chapter 13.
What is the book
And
called?
um, what is the book called? I have it on my shelf right here. It's it's like what's wrong with you or something like that. I'll have to get it back to you. But
Yeah.
I honestly don't give a lot of credit to the book because the book is not doesn't paint me or anyone else in a very good light.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, it's basically his whole hypothesis is that all of the people he interviewed are kind of broken, and they are broken in the ways that they are because they have trauma. And so it's a lot of the thoughts really behind it is like the left is the left because they're traumatized.
Oh, wow.
And
And that's
so
why they need help and, you know, are fucked up or whatever. Excuse me.
yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, and there were some characters in the book. It's interesting to see myself among them
Yeah.
because there really are some like out there people, but they aren't their stories aren't bad or wrong. And
Oh,
even though that they have these quirks, even though I have these quirks, um, it's I think it's a lot to say that the whole left and also the individuals are broken because of the trauma that they've experienced.
okay.
So I really the title of the book and all the things I'm like, you know,
Oh, well, I mean, didn't you feel betrayed? And by the way, what I do know statistically is that people on the left are more educated. So it's hardly about being quirky or anything like that. And that's what makes you beautiful is all the, idiosyncrasies and the ways that your mind works. So, but yeah, didn't you feel betrayed or kind
I
of,
did to a degree. I mean, um so they told me I was going to be in the book,
yeah,
which was exciting and confusing.
yeah,
Um, I'm I didn't I mean I'm special, we're all special, but like I didn't see myself as like anything special.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna be in this book, and they wouldn't tell me what the book was called or they wouldn't send me my chapter or anything. I had no information on it until they asked me to come on Fox News and do an interview live. Um, so it was that week, and I found out what the book was called and kind of the premise behind the book. And I went on and did the interview, even though pretty much everybody in my life told me not to do the interview. They said that Jesse was the way that he interviewed was really rude and that he would eat me alive and all this stuff, that it would ruin my career. I had a lot of other professionals tell me that it was going to ruin my career. But I went on and did it anyways, because I felt like I couldn't let any one person dictate the success of my future or the confidence that I had to go on. It just felt like something I had to do.
you
So
took your power back.
it was empowering in the end, very intimidating at the beginning, but I went on Fox News and talked about ecosexuality, herbalism, intimacy, and my perspective on it. He was himself, and I was, I walked away from that experience feeling proud that I stepped up and did it, but also uh, kind of embarrassed about the way that the interview was navigated. But I had so many people reach out to me after that. A lot of people on the right, um, more conservative views, saying that they were um, really grateful because they thought about intimacy and love in a different way than they had before. And that was so inspiring for me. to continue on with this message and living the life the way I do. And yeah, it was honestly so unexpected. I never thought I was going to be on Fox News. My grandmother.
Wow, that's so, I mean, you're like a celebrity. Well, not on my show, so you're a double celebrity.
Double
Only
celebrity.
this is much better.
You were much better than Jesse Waters, I said.
Was it? Yeah, I bet it was kind of,
It was
ooh.
intense, and I didn't tell my family about it because
Oh,
um, I hadn't at that point in time been so forthright with like who I was in the
sure.
family dynamic. So my grandmother religiously watches Fox News, just saw
Oh,
me come on TV.
oh,
And
wow. She must have been like,
it was definitely, she was like, she called my mom, like,
oh, I bet.
TV.
Turn it on, turn it. So did your mom see it too then? Like,
Yeah, my parents saw it.
oh,
My immediate family is so supportive. My
yeah,
family as a whole is supportive, but I just hadn't been. I wasn't like out of the closet as a
yeah,
weird, verbal,
yeah,
sexy lady yet.
yeah.
Um, so that's a really funny story. And so herbal hedonism was I kind of created a website or a brand around it very quickly in response to
Nice.
the influx of interest.
Yeah,
But it was never meant to be that. And so when it came to Untamed Altar, I knew that I wanted it to be a little more refined. I wanted it to encapsulate this this wildness, but also this reverence.
mhm.
And so Untamed Altar came to be, and it is what it is now. And I just love the aspects of the paradox and the duality, because I think it's so much of what we deal with as humans. It's just the experience of being able to hold joy, but also hold grief, or being able to see ourselves as good people, but also do bad things.
And acknowledge our shadow. Oh, I have a beautiful story about that grief. And um, okay, so neurologically, the brain doesn't know the difference between grief and ecstasy, right? It's just when we tell ourselves a story or have a memory. So then the implication goes further that the deeper you grieve, the higher, the more ecstasy you can experience, right? So if you want to have really good orgasms, you have to allow yourself to grieve. Well, breathe too. And then it goes, okay, so according to quantum physics, life and death exist at the same time. Anything does, right? So we're both alive and dead. And when you think about an orgasm, that is a tiny death, like le petit mort, like they call it tiny death. And that's when life begins. And that's also, if you think about why you cry when you have an orgasm or why you laugh at a funeral, a little bit of mix up, isn't it? It's, and you can go further with the implications. It's so profound, but I just find that so interesting. So
I, I love
yeah.
that. I actually just recently had this experience as moving through a very tough transitional time for it was like 2 or 3 months
Mm-hmm.
earlier this year. And I felt so heavy, sadness. I was like, oh, am I edging in towards depression? Like
Sure.
where this is tough. And then after some of the things got resolved, I was for a month feeling this extreme ecstasy. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, just kind of it gives me a little bit of that, the psychological perspective that you
Yeah.
shared.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Experience.
Yeah. And then there's, of course, the non-attachment because well, just like you can't stay in an orgasm forever. I mean, you can't stay in that place of ecstasy, but also then knowing that you're not going to grieve forever too. We're always in flux with our emotions. So,
Yeah, it's actually really sad when I stopped feeling the ecstasy
of
feeling.
course, I know. Well, just like people with bipolar who are manic, of course they want that experience so they don't take their medication. Wouldn't want to be manic and have all this energy and stuff, but then sometimes it can be very destructive. So that's one of the problems with that. But I think that's a well, whole nother topic about how that what we call pathology is actually more in tune with what reality is. um, like for example, depression or even schizophrenia that, and the people I've worked with who have schizophrenia always have this unique, amazing skill or talent or nuance that I've never seen in anyone else. Um, like there was this musical talent, and there was another who was just a genius that, so there's something about the brain where we say there's something wrong when actually it could be something right. It's just our interpretation of it and the way we're conditioned to believe about it
Mhm.
that creates the problem. So
Yeah.
that's another thing to think about too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the way that we interpret things,
Yes.
the language that we have around it is important, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I think we've had this conversation before, but the talking about harm reduction in all areas of
Yes.
the way that
Yes.
we word things is very important.
Mhm.
And it's always looking at whose lens is it being worded
Right.
from, who's
Right.
talking about,
Yes.
what is normal and what is not normal. And I think that that's the experience of, um, like what I hope to bring into the work that I do,
Mhm.
educating people and working one-on-one with clients is getting them to be more okay with where they're at.
Yes.
And of course, medication and other resources are so valid and needed at certain points of time and with certain people.
Yeah.
And also, if we can get you to a state where you just are more accepting and aware of that mental landscape, of your emotional
Yeah.
landscape, and have some assistance from whether it's modern medicine or through botanical medicine, um, allowing you to feel those heightened states,
Yes.
allowing it to be present. And like you said, it's not going to be here forever. So just
Right.
accepting that we're either running high or we're running low. We always want to be running high. I think
Yeah.
we love to grasp onto it as much as we
Yes.
can.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just knowing that like nothing's permanent,
Yeah.
and neither is this body.
Right.
So the emotion that we get to have is part of the blessing of being human. And when we're not here, much like you said with your story
Mhm.
of decaying into the earth, it just becomes stillness, it becomes
Yeah.
peace.
It
Um,
is. Yeah.
and it's a feeling that it feels so good. But there's also these, I imagine in the spiritual realm,
Mhm.
wanting to come back to earth to experience what it
Mhm.
feels like to have heartbreak, which is,
Yeah.
unfathomable to us who experience, the pain.
Yeah. I think the most, I'll never forget this woman who said the most alive she ever felt was when she lost her baby.
Mm.
Because she said the amount of pain I felt was so exquisite that I was fully present and fully alive to what it's like to be, just to be because of that pain. I thought, what a beautiful story. I mean, obviously it was pain, but she recognized and was able to turn that into the awareness of, wow, I get to have these emotions. I get to have this intensity in my life, you know? So I thought that was a beautiful story. It's a good way to look at emotions, because it is a gift, and we try to numb, and we try to, and no, don't cry, that's for weak, and all those messages, when really that's just a beautiful gift of bodily healing, all of the things that we do. So I like that you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's definitely been times in my life where uh, I feel very fortunate to have had space to give myself
yeah.
the space to feel.
Yeah.
There are so many things that get in the way,
There are. Mhm.
jobs,
Yeah,
families,
modern world, it just does.
and we don't always have the space to feel. We have to almost disassociate
Yes.
or say that we're going to come back to them later, but later really never comes.
Mhm.
But then it lingers
It
with you.
does.
And so giving yourself the space to really feel, and go in as deep as she did,
Yeah.
it's almost like you she didn't really have any other option because the pain was so heavy.
Right.
But you give yourself the space to really feel whatever it is, and be present. It not only moves through you much faster, but there becomes this almost, um, yeah, this like reverence, this appreciation of the feeling. And even if it's not in the moment, the
Yeah.
uh,
Afterwards, looking back.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it is. It's a lovely thing. Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about sex yet, but we're at time. So, I'm gonna have to have you back if that's okay, Hannah.
Bring me back on. I would love to be
Yes,
so much to talk about. I could talk
I
for hours.
know, right? Well, tell the audience how we can find you and get your products and all that.
Absolutely, yes. So you can find me online at www.untamedaltar.com. You can find me at Untamed Altar on Instagram. That's kind of where I do most of my medias and my musings. I love to write, so you can go on there or on the website for the blog, um, and hear more of my personal stories and also get information about plants and plant medicine. And besides that, you can also email me at hello@untamedaltar.com if you want to strike up a conversation. I'm obviously down to talk. I love to talk. So I'd love to hear from you all.
Nice, thank you. And then the code that you were gonna give the audience for your products.
It'll be Dr. Joe, DR, no period, Joe Untamed. And we'll be sure to put that in the show notes or get that to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put that in there. So thank you so much. That's what I call myself now, Dr. Joe Untamed.
Untamed.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. It's been a pleasure. And don't worry, everyone, we'll have her back because we have so much more to talk about.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you, Dr. Joe, so much for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.